And then, do you think we need Hector's video at the moment? I think he's gonna be right on. Here's our new flamethrowing robot. Yeah. Nice, these formal introductions. Welcome, Farm and G crew. We're at Jacobs Del Cabo and trying out the new flamethrowing robot, which is also new to me. Hector, do you want to fire it up?
Pretty exciting. You want to give us a little tour of it before putting the gas on?
Yeah. So Hector actually kind of fixed a problem today. We had too small of a regulator. This guy that was causing a flow issue, so he stole something off some other farm equipment to get us some propane flow. Because we have 7 nozzles. So initially we had 2 tanks over here, kind of combining into one. Out the 7 nozzles in the front on the 3-point, which raises and lowers. So yeah, Hector, you wanna show how we can turn it on? Yeah. I bet
Is that a flamethrower?
So he's lowering it to the ground to cause a little bit of pressure to get the right mixture, so they all start throwing flames. And before this, they were walking around. One guy carries a propane tank and a single torch. And whoa. But now they kind of just align it in the furrow and they put it in cruise control.
So did he light just one of the burners and then they all and then it kind of like passed down?
Yeah, so he lit one and then we moved it toward the ground just to kind of get some pressure. And works surprisingly well.
Pretty cool.
How's the air quality in there?
Not great.
So this is technically considered an organic farming practice, I believe. It's a pretty common method.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting because you can take it as you may.
Yeah, maybe we
Yeah,
should back up a little bit and say why we're doing it.
Yeah, Ren, do you care to provide any context, or Kyle, any thought on it?
Yeah, I'm not an expert by any means, but they do it to kill weeds. So they have plants of a given age that can withstand, this, and it kind of burns all the small weeds around it, as opposed to using, I guess, whatever. I'm not sure how else you do it, but you I guess you're sacrificing CFCs for another problem.
It makes me wonder like it kills weeds. Does it have any downside? Like, I know none of us really have any expertise on that, but it does make me wonder. Like, there's no chemicals surely being used directly. Oh, blasting propane at it though. So does it all burn off from the fire? Like, I wonder if any smart folks watching or who may watch in the future have any opinions on that.
What are the effects of all of our propane barbecues on Earth?
Great question. I mean, other than delicious barbecue, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It might be worth it, whatever the cost is.
Yeah, curious. So then I guess one thing that comes to mind is like, how is this maybe cheaper than other options, or like why you because what inspired this was partly, like you said earlier, folks will walk around like through the field with a propane tank, right? Spraying
Yeah.
the weeds. So is it a cheaper option? Is that the thought you don't have to pay for chemicals and it's organic, or what do you think?
Definitely seems like the organic is a big push for it, or a big reason for it. Hard to imagine it being cheaper though. With the propane's not cheap unless you have a good source, maybe.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. Also, it makes me wonder what other things this could be used for, like not in farming. For example, tons of folks trapped under mountains of snow in the Sierra right now. Could you use this to melt some snow and save some lives?
Yeah, I've seen people using flamethrowers to melt snow. That seems seems bad.
Is it rugged enough to get to survive the snow?
Oh yeah, this thing would melt snow. Might need to change some parameters out in the motor controllers. But
Do you think the Amiga could? I guess you wouldn't have to run on the snow, because once it shot fire at it, the Amiga wouldn't be on.
Then it'd be running on ice. I think I really want to get an Amiga out here in New York. Get some land upstate and stick it out there and use it for like a plow or a salt spreader or something, because I think it'll do really well in the snow.
That's a great idea. Are there any customers or users of Amiga currently in upstate New York or in New York yet?
I know with the school competition, Carnegie Mellon got at least one of them. So that's Pittsburgh. So they'll get some
Getting
snow.
close. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out New York State. Where are your robots at?
Yeah, we gotta get one. Gotta get one up at Cornell, where I went to school. Trying,
Oh, were you? Oh, see, yeah. Cold days in Ithaca. A robot would make life a little easier.
Put a little shield around it, right at the class.
Yeah, there you go. It's a dome to get to class in. It's a climate-resistant dome. That's so funny. That's okay. Wow, many applications suddenly thought of. One robot, multiple uses.
Yeah. What's the path look like behind it? And how's it doing?
yeah, it looks good. Similar. So they did this row that I'm standing over now. They did this a few hours ago. And then this is, I don't know if you guys can see that in the video.
Yeah, quality's not great.
There's some charring though.
There is some charring.
What we want.
Could we make it more precise? Like, let's say, could there be smaller flamethrowers?
Definitely. I think this is prototype number 1.
How hard
Yeah,
would it
since
be?
they're in those like perfect lines, if we could get like a little more of a jet on it and point it right at it, we could and if they could, like, each one of those nozzles could kind of actuate a little bit of angle to them, stick a camera on there to adjust them.
And does it have to be continuous, or could you use that camera to detect when you're not spraying, like when you're not anywhere, and they could shoot at different times?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Verdant rig, but with fire.
Are they're the laser?
Yeah, laser and spraying, but like millimeter scale. So I wonder how much can you miniaturize a flamethrower? Like, how small of a flame can you get?
I think a lighter.
Yeah, right.
Like small blowtorch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get them pretty precise.
You can get pretty precise.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm pretty curious. So then, would it even be helpful? I don't know. What's like the coverage right now on the soil of weed to empty dirt?
I know. I wonder. They probably want to broadcast a big flame, right?
Yeah, is it because there's like weeds everywhere? What exactly are you trying to burn?
Man,
Like,
we
what's a
really need Larry. We need Larry Jacobs on this live stream.
Well, I mean, if you just, it seems like we're being indiscriminate with what we're burning. It seems like we're burning everything.
Yeah.
This is so funny. That's a dumb question, Ethan. Come on.
All we've ever dreamed of, Ethan.
It's like, why not? Well, Ethan, do you have any thoughts? We were discussing the weeding application. We thought about how this could be helpful maybe for people stuck under mounds of snow. That could also cause its own problems. Are there other use cases you know of, Ethan, for flame-throwing robots? Any chat response, Ryan?
We got a why not from Farm NG. Nice.
People stuck under mounds of snow. That was weird. Okay. Why do you need a flamethrower? I love the exclamation mark behind his question as well. He's so excited.
It's an important question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in theory, it should be a lot safer, right, than a human using the flamethrowing robot.
That seems counterintuitive. Oh, then the human. Okay, there you go. So you're saying people will use the flamethrower anyway.
Because now, like, if something were to happen with, I don't know, the propane tank or I'm sure there's like a check valve or something to keep flame from going back in. But I don't know, keeping the human further away from it seems safer.
Okay.
Let the robot do the dangerous job.
And you know what? That's actually a really good point. A friend made. I was talking to her earlier because we were discussing how OSHA feels about farm robots. There aren't really enough robots for it to have been a problem, but now it gets quite interesting. And her point was, let's see if I could find it. Most people don't understand that most organic solutions are generally far more hazardous to workers. For example, spilling glyphosate, on yourself, no big deal. Spill hydrogen peroxide at high enough concentration to kill pests, and you've got second or third degree burns. So those are current organic practices. So you're saying one of those crazy practices also includes people walking around with flamethrowers. Maybe if we didn't make them have to do that, we could spare them the risk of that flamethrower causing some harm to them like it is to the weeds. That checks out. That I wonder what other ways. So like, okay, in the field now, instead of doing a chemical application, how many people do you need? Is it the same pace? Can it go faster?
It can definitely drive faster.
Ren, any idea on like can you see evidence of what's happening? Like, I can't tell whether or not it's working.
Dang, yeah, I will have to post a video from my high quality camera later. But yes,
We'll just
there is right now. There's something here that's just like smoking and smoldering, and you can see that the tips of the chives, anything dry, kind of gets burned up and charred.
Yeah, and I think you can see a difference like between the row that it's driving because it's going straight down and back on the same row, right, Ren?
Yeah, and the row next to it has drip tape, so it's not quite ready to be torched.
But there's definitely a lot more green on the drip tape row that hasn't been torched yet.
Yeah, definitely.
It's killing all these bacteria.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like.
¿Qué diste, Hector?
I was talking when working this morning. He said all this is like a bacteria. I don't know if Ren can see this one. And the fire is hell a lot to kill all these bacteria and animals inside the dirt, like this one. See?
Is that like beneficial bacteria?
I don't.
Yeah, this is the Spanish workers tell me about it. Like, is the benefit for the fire, killing bacteria, animals, and the dirt.
I think so. It's a bad bacteria. They want to get rid of it. We noticed a bunch in our greenhouse since it rained and everything got so wet. The dirt gets like completely covered in this green brown.
That's
Stuff.
fascinating. Okay. Huh. I'm gonna Google this. So like using fire to kill bacteria in
When they were using it this morning, they would do this. They would kind of do it twice to drive down slowly once and just drive backwards with it on.
You know, this isn't really studied academically.
Is this like some hand-me-down knowledge?
I'm just like searching a couple different like academic journals and Google Scholar and a few others, and like people that this is kind of curious. So what would be the effect? How could we do wait, Ren, how many passes did you say it was doing?
2.
It's doing 2. And why 2?
Okay, yeah. Question from C. We've got why not burning horizontally instead of vertically, apart from safety, and then why not just cut with tiny blades?
Well,
Horizontal instead of vertical. That's trying to picture that.
Well, I know the question to the blades. All of this looked like those chives over there yesterday. So they just harvested it and it came through with scissors, cut it all down. And then the flame is kind of, it's hitting all areas of the furrow. It's not just hitting the plants that are planted here.
Well, and it's actually killing it, right? Like if you just snip off the plant, the roots are still alive.
Yeah.
Kyle, how do you envision the way the horizontal, like it would work horizontally?
I'm trying to picture it. I guess you come around the side of it and kind of shoot in from the outside. Like you'd have a few pipes coming down between because there's 3 rows of chives, like per row.
Looks like there's 4, yeah.
Or 4, okay. So you'd have to like go in between each one maybe and kind of flame out in both directions.
Oh, that's fun. Ren, what design do you envision?
I mean, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Maybe some more guards for the tractor. I think some things are going to get hot eventually, especially if you're using this in the wind.
Mm.
Yeah, what do you think the temperature, like pressure, that metal sheet can take is?
Good questions.
Like how long? If we just ran this thing continuously, how long? Assuming battery life wasn't a problem, how long do you think it could last? Or propane?
Oh yeah. Well, nothing's gonna happen to the metal. There's some plastic components within 2 feet that are just gonna melt.
Yeah,
Nice.
that'll do it.
All right. Can we get a closer look at it? Are we
Maybe
powering down
maybe
now?
Hector can turn it off so I can get close to it. Yeah. There we go.
Dr. Coble, Kyle's that your pops or something?
Probably my brother.
Your brother says, Ethan, it gives Cornell grad something to do. That's funny.
Good one, Jeremy.
Kyle's brother. Oh man, that's hilarious. Okay, so what are we looking at?
This is the 3-point attachment.
Have we I don't know, gone over a 3-point in one of the live streams?
Don't think so.
Oh, I don't think we have. Hector, can you demonstrate the 3-point going up and down? So on the pendant, pressing up or down on the keypad.
And that 3-point kit is pretty cool because while it's currently controlling a flamethrower, which is definitely the most interesting attachment we have thus used, it works with different weeding attachments or tons of other things that could benefit from control. And then one thing that a lot of people asked at the World Ag Expo is, how do you think that could get automated? So instead of having to personally or like you control it and lower the height, how could Autoplot help have like an actuator that extended through it to guide when the attachment should go up or down? Possible?
Yeah. Yeah, so just 3-point, just a type of hitch. And sort of we have like 2 categories of actuators that we add on, and so we use it for all of the linear actuators, any kind of up and down or side to side motion, and then we also have our PTO for rotary action. And in the next firmware release, we are going to have automated control, or it enables automated control of the 3-point lifts. So anyone who's out there, who has a robot with a 3-point who's working on it, I know at least like UC Santa Cruz has a 3-point on their robot. If they want to start working on that, then the firmware will support it. Right now, for the Autoplot side, I think it'll start with just a button where, like, the remote operator, I from New York, could raise and lower the 3-point. But yeah, I mean, it would be pretty easy
cool.
with the Oak cameras because they have depth information, so we can, detect where the ground plane is and see as it raises and lowers, and raise and lower it accordingly.
That's really neat. I hadn't thought about using people in the loop in that way, where it's like, hey, we still just need someone to push a button. It could be anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Neat. Okay, that is pretty fun. There was one guy at World Ag who was eating ice cream. I think I talked about this previously, and I asked him if he wanted to ride a robot. Obviously, he said yes. I think I said, so easy you could eat your ice cream while you did it. So while sitting on the Amiga, he was eating ice cream with one hand and controlling it with a pendant in the other. And with this, he could technically have 2 ice creams, which is just man, living. Farming while eating ice cream, it's a ride. That is a funny thing to think of. Okay, so now I could see it's got the 2 propane tanks on the side. How long is that going to last?
How long do you think that'll last, Hector? I think it's a couple hours.
What's the cost of propane?
I bet it's like $70 for a 5-gallon.
No, it's like $20.
No, it isn't.
No
And
way.
maybe a refill might be like 40. Yeah. Cheap
Okay,
gas out
100
there.
gallon propane. Let's see. Blue Rhino at Ace Hardware is $20 for 20-pound steel tank. That may just be the steel, or $60 at Lowe's. So
Wherever, if you guys find a place for 20, I would love the link because I spent 70.
That's funny. You're like, yo, who ripped me off of the propane tank?
Well, you bought the tank also.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
So the fill costs maybe $20-$40. So then $20 or $40 to do. How much acreage do you think it can cover in that time?
It's hard to picture. I'd say 1.5 of these, 2 of these.
2 of those.
I don't know the dimensions.
Yeah, because I mean, it seems like relatively cheap. It seems like the cost per
But
acre
like,
for propane.
I mean, if that's your singular goal, it's a very simple thing, right? You get a huge propane tank, a bunch of things that'll withstand the temperature, and you can run forever. You just need a robot, maybe for an 8-wheeled Amiga.
An 8-wheeled Amiga. That's pretty cool. Could you just like daisy chain them horizontally, or do you imagine it like wider, or what is the configuration of this
Ooh.
8-wheeled?
It's a good question. I mean, it's kind of just in theory.
How
You
big?
could
do think-
you can put them anywhere you want. You know, just tell them what to do. It may not be the most efficient.
Yeah, like would it make sense to make these wider? Like, for example, a lot of it, like implements or attachments will get like the Verdant Rover has like these wings that come down, and then now there's like 24 rows or 12 rows or something of all these robots because they
Oh
realize,
yeah.
So do you think we could? Does it make sense to try to assemble like bigger, longer, wider Amigas because you could cover more ground, or is it the benefit that the Amiga itself is the Lego, so they're coordinating?
I think it depends on who you ask, but you're onto something. You know, if you're driving through California and you see the quarter-mile long irrigation, you know, I don't even know what they're called, but the with the wheels on them, that's I mean, you could.
Oh, the pivot irrigator.
Yeah, you could do that with. I think I'm bringing up patented ideas there, but you know, imagine 10 Amigas alongside each other. But
That's really funny.
I'm inclined to agree with him on that one.
Oh man, sorry, Ren. You better call
Monterey.
Captain
Captain
Brando Pink said that we're paying too much for propane. And Dr. Coble from Alaska wants to know if we can use it for melting ice off of their driveway.
Dr. Coble. Oh man. Well, we should totally be able to use this for melting ice. We're thinking about you, Dr. Coble, way ahead of you. He's in Alaska.
Yeah. Both Dr. Cobles are in Alaska.
Both Cobles in Alaska. Wow, it sounds like we're gonna need an Alaska constellation of Amigas. Dogs. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, okay. Well, Alaska's perfect because the Amiga, I think it could do a lot of different types of industrial tasks. Like, for one, shovel your driveway. If before you've even gotten to work, the Amiga could definitely like torch it or shovel it. And then, are things grown in Alaska? You'd have such a short growing season. Is there any like agricultural footprint?
So what I've heard is that produce is very expensive there. So I'm assuming they don't grow much. And it's shipped pretty far.
Well, we're in a greenhouse. Could could more temperature controlled growing with Amigas make produce more affordable in Alaska?
Asking the right questions here.
Good questions.
Strokes beard. Huh. Yeah, like I really wonder. Let me Google this. Like farming. Actually, we have this. Let's find out. So supposedly, according to this data that I have, okay, Alaska's not in the top 10. Shockingly, Alaska production.
Going back to home base, we have a spray robot over here, which will be.
What happens
future.
if we take the flamethrower robot on some of the crops?
Yeah, we try
Is that
on,
how we get picked off of Larry Jacobs' farm?
They didn't say not to do it.
Anybody down here? Ooh,
Yeah.
yes. You should talk
This is
about
our electrostatic sprayer that used to be on a trailer. Now Tony made some mods to it, and it is essentially the chassis and sprayer in one.
It's probably heavier.
It definitely doesn't break down often. No, I'm just kidding.
But we'll be doing demos with this pretty soon too.
So what's incredible about what's happening here, and I love that you brought it up, is the On Target sprayer. Shout out On Target is such a great example of the way that the Amiga is a platform for a lot of folks in the ag economy, operators, integrators who don't have millions of dollars to spend on crazy tech, but do want to compete. And so when they look at like the Gus sprayer, for example, I think which costs like $200,000, but it's just pretty much is pulling a traditional rig with on target, bought Amigas and realized, sweet, for like 10, 20 grand with autonomy, they can put their sprayer on top of the Amiga, and now you have an autonomous electrostatic sprayer. And a small business can compete by getting really, really cool technology they wouldn't have had otherwise. And the Amiga is just like one, the on target sprayer is one great example. So shout out on target. They actually had an Amiga, this like similar rig on display at the World Ag Expo. And if you are an ag operator who has cool stuff, we would love for you to put it on our robots. We'll bring you the robots. What is it doing out there, by the way, Ren?
It is. I mean, it's essentially seeking shelter from the rain and getting charged. In all honesty, but we're going to be running this around outside autonomously, spraying on a path that Hector's going to drive. So coming soon.
What crops are you going to be spraying that on?
They're non-existent crops. It's a test.
Okay, you're doing a test.
Yeah, just a test, because it doesn't matter if there's crops there or not. It just needs to drive by them.
All right, so you're doing a function test. Does this function?
Yeah, exactly. Functional test. And what'll be great is we'll be outdoors, away from all the structure in the greenhouse that kind of gives us some GPS issues. So to be nice and reliable.
And when are we going to get the results of that test?
It needs to hit the priorities list, but I have a feeling it's going to be up there. What do you think, Kyle? We'll probably use this tractor next week, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was playing around with seeing if I could use it right now.
Please God, do that. Yes. Are you kidding me, Kyle? That'd be so cool if you just programmed into it right now and started controlling it.
Well, if Ren puts it into auto,
do it.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm gonna actually drive it into a little better spot, and then I'll put it into auto.
Yo, that would
No,
be so sneaky though. Kyle, if you just started controlling it and made it like drive away.
Like,
I know that's the one thing that's okay. So for context for people, there's the brain, the computer that I can connect to over Wi-Fi, and I can control this robot. And then there's the dashboard, which is more of our low-level vehicle control, where you can do like speed settings, and that's what like actually is kind of like the gatekeeper for sending the velocity commands to all the wheels. And we don't have it set up where you can remotely go into auto mode for, safety reasons, until we're, ready for that. So I'm not able to bypass it and just go straight into auto. But now that Ren has put it into auto for me, I should be able to start
safety.
Yeah.
Start driving it.
You hear that?
And now
we're safety oriented. It's called a human control.
And we just we implemented driving with just the arrow keys, and it's probably one of the easiest ways to drive, especially when we're in the straight furrows.
Really? So you're controlling it now, Kyle?
Yeah. So I did all of that.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's been controlling it.
Hector having the cord in his hand.
All right, now let's clarify what's happening. That's a sprayer in the field. Where are you, Ren?
Watsonville, California.
You're in Watsonville, California. And Kyle, you're controlling the robot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where are you?
I'm in New York.
New
York City. Manhattan? I'm in Manhattan.
He's in the middle
the Isle of Manhattan.
Controlling a robot at a farm in California, spraying. All right, that's like definitely never happened before. I really wish you could spray right now so we could just like such a clear demonstration that folks, I feel like people live in the city, may get burnt out, want to move to a farm upstate, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to do that. You're stuck at the job, but you can take a little break, control our robot out here in California. It's a nice little bite for the mind.
Pretty fun.
Or a respite in the meantime. So that's pretty crazy. Could you, so how are you controlling it?
Yeah, my screen share isn't on the live stream this time. But it's we have this 80K, our Amiga development kit, and we have an example for the students in the competition and anybody who wants to make their own apps on the robot to kind of base off of, called the virtual joystick, where there's an on the screen, and actually maybe Ren could go over and show the brain screen. On the screen, there's a there we go. Yeah, a little dot that you move around by touching it. So Ren could use his finger on it and push it forward. And I'll actually see that happen on my screen here. And then it streams a camera image, and you can change like which image is showing, the disparity image or the left or right stereo cameras. So yeah, so I was using that to control it. And basically this robot, I didn't have this app on it. And once Ren walked over to the sprayer robot, I was like, oh, I should install that and drive it away. And just downloaded it, since it's an app that already works, that anybody can just download. It's open source. Yeah, you just put it onto the robot and go. Just like that.
So, Kyle, it's a super important point. One of the conversations I was having with Dr. Fierce from the UC Challenge, who bought 10 of these because they realized, as the University of California as a system, which is the largest public research university in the world, had a lot of students building stuff, and they were spending a ton of time just getting to this point. And if they had this and the Amiga development kit, they'd probably be able to get to the cool stuff. What kind of cool stuff do you think people can get to, or what do you want to see done, or what are you seeing in the discourse maybe that's possible, considering the folks in Manhattan can program into this remotely and do whatever they want?
Yeah, I don't know what the most of the teams are planning. I've seen one share their self-driving implementation, kind of following a line of crops, which was super cool to see the students, how excited they were to, write code and put it on the robot, and it worked on the robot. But I don't know the end goal of theirs, and I think because the competition's just kind of kicking off, I'm not sure if everybody's sharing what they're working on yet or not.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear if you were in their shoes, or you were an undergrad or grad student, you do everything, like this was like a class or something. Huh?
I'm sorry,
Oh,
worker speaking next to me.
My bad. Yeah. So yeah, if you're like a student, what would have been a cool project to have done? Or what's like a cool project you wonder if any students are working on maybe?
I mean, the one I've wanted to do since I started working on the Amiga is the snowplow and the salt spreader. I mean, I want to do that so badly. Now that we have the H bridge and like the automatic control, the H bridge enabled, we're so close to being able to. I mean, everything's there to be able to do it. You just have to put it together. So that's what I would go for.
Oh man, okay, we have to make that happen. What's awesome about you saying it is it's been like memorialized. It's now, it's in the record, and one of the students next year we can just ensure, like University of Lincoln, Nebraska is one of the teams. They for sure need to build this.
Oh yeah, they need it. Maybe we'll have because this one's more of like a spring competition. I think it ends in, I don't know, June or July maybe. So maybe we'll have to have 2 a year sometime in the near future. Have like a winter version of it where people are making
a winter game,
making driveway snow melters and plows and blowers. You put a blower on it. Why not?
Yeah, nice. Well, exactly. We should do a winter games and a summer games.
I like it.
That way there could be like robot competitions. Like, for example, my driveway has way too much snow. Maybe somebody's got a cool scraper. Maybe somebody's like spreading salt and it's a snowplow. Maybe somebody has a flamethrower. We should do like a task or problems challenge where different teams can compete to see who's got the superior solution.
Love it.
Oh man. Okay. So the winter one clearly includes Kyle. Kyle, you're gonna have to be the judge. You're gonna be the final the
I might have to
approval.
go back to school so I can take part in it.
Yeah, right. See, this is a reason to go to these schools. What a great point. Do you hear that, universities out there? Kyle's considering leaving PharmNG to enroll at the University of Lincoln, Nebraska, just to participate. They're on to something. Yeah, this one way cooler. There were so many lame things we did in school. This would have been a very good reason to pay attention.
Yeah, that's what
I
been
mean,
such a fun project to be on.
I didn't go to school, and I've been doing this for 13 years, so that's kind of cool too.
Oh, that's interesting. Ren, all right, there's some cool little information for aspiring roboticists. So would you get like kicked out of middle school or what happened?
I graduated high school, probably 3 point something GPA. And then my first job was working at Willow Garage, building the PR2, and surrounded by a bunch of smart people like Kyle that were willing to teach me.
How did you get a job at Willow Garage out of high school?
They were hiring people with mechanical and electrical skills. And it was
Where did you
actually,
get?
it was a temporary job, and I found it on Craigslist.
That's awesome.
I love it. So, and where at 18 did you get mechanical skills?
Oh yeah, I mean, since I was 8, 10 years old, I was always interested in RC cars. So I think that's kind of where it started. Then it got into real cars, then into robots.
It's cool how much the Amiga is like the life-size RC car.
It really is.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the things that the university was asking for is like a robotics learning kit, or like the Amiga robotics learning kit, which could be like a table-sized version of the Amiga and all these tools. So students could get like grade appropriate curriculum on how to build on the Amiga. And if they could deploy it at like table scale or room scale, lots of schools could learn, lots of these kids could get really relevant like education. And then that SDK is applicable to the life-size scale of the robot too. So maybe by the time they graduate, they could have some skills that could get them hired by participating in one of these challenges.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to be the judge for that one too now.
I like it.
Yeah, definitely. That is really fun. I feel like a lot of people can learn, and this is actually like an interesting area where the age of the average farmer is increasing significantly, and a lot of family farms like are having a hard time passing the farm off to the next generation. But now with stuff like this, it's a lot more interesting, and they're more like, oh, this is actually a really cool place to put my interests, and we make farming more attractive. So now, it could be a really cool thing for students to learn, and then it just gets like directly applicable or directly.
Nice, yeah. PharmNG, making farming sexy again.
That's it. Especially, what's sexier than a robot? It's just like, and the flame.
I don't know if we want to go down that path.
Yeah, right. Touche. No less after a conversation about a learning kit.
Yeah.
Yes, robots are cool kids. That's leave it at that. So now you've done some passes with the flamethrower. Is it like is there anything else that it can do? Is there another task that you can show us?
Ooh, not with that tractor. This was it's kind of permanently a flamethrower.
Are we
What
thinking
else?
about sticking a brain on the flamethrower robot, or is this
I
more
think
of
that was
a
Daniel. I
one-off?
think that was Daniel's idea. But I mean,
oh yeah, dude, come on, that'd be so cool. It'd be really safe.
I mean, I didn't like the idea at first, but it's growing on me. Maybe on Monday I'll make something happen.
I think it would be so gnarly. I mean, just the principle of an autonomous robot with a flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Why not? I think we might need to do it. Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, I think we'll make some physical modifications, and then I'll be comfortable. We'll deploy this thing autonomously.
To Kyle's point, you could be removing people from a pretty dangerous process, and a lot of the OSHA type regulation involving autonomous tractors. And for that reason, this is, to be clear, not a tractor. This is whatever designation that hasn't, fallen into OSHA. People have to be 16 feet apart, or like feet away from the robot. So if we could create really high confidence in the robotic control and could make sure that people didn't have to be around, that would mean they're probably safer because they're not breathing in whatever fumes may be in there. One, and two, if something did go wrong, they're more than farther away than 16 feet.
Definitely.
So at OSHA, at us, we got answers.
Let's not talk to OSHA at all. Let's just.
Dude, we're
Can
gonna
we
be their
bleep?
best friend.
Can we bleep these out?
No, I mean, this is actually a really interesting thing because nobody's really figured out like the how do you safely deploy these? And I think Kyle's point's really the best. That is, like, there are a lot of dangerous environments that people are exposed to in agriculture by the nature of just the tools that we've had. And because we now have Amigas, we can really take people out of harmful environments. And that is like a really meaningful point to consider as the rules and policies come out about how we can interact with robots. So
yeah, and it's not removing them from the process, right? It's just like physically removing them from the process, from the action of the tractor, right?
Yeah, we're not removing people from the process. We're protecting them from it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
One thing I think about, like, my house is like, I don't know, 250 feet from a giant almond orchard right now. And on a day I'll go in the second story, look out, see a sprayer cruising through the field. Person spraying has like a mask on or is in a self-contained box. That drifts. It definitely comes away. And so with the Amiga, with things like the on-target sprayer or other attachments like the Verdant sprayer, which we hopefully get soon. Come on, Verdant. You could actually make the whole process a lot safer because, one, you don't need somebody in a box there, but two, the whole community around them doesn't have to have such a sketchy way to apply. And with this, if it's not spraying for pesticides but weeding, hey, now you don't even need chemicals. We've got an autonomous flamethrower.
Flamethrowing robot.
Flamethrowing
like
robot.
it.
As advertised.
Yeah, we're an OEM. How people use it is up to their discretion. It's like the boring company flamethrower. It's like, this is not a flamethrower.
Yeah, this is not a robot.
This is not the droids you're looking for.
Or this is not a tractor, and this is also not a flamethrower.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a tractor.
So do we have Ren to be careful with our wording?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be looking out for it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Cool.
What else have you guys been doing out there, Ren?
What have we been doing lately? We've been honestly working in our beds quite a bit because of the disastrous rain. So we had to remove a couple 100 gallons of water yesterday. Recovering from storms and slowly testing chunks of code. So developers will push something. Hector and I will be out here, do a quick test, say it doesn't work, send it back until it does work.
That's okay. So one thing this makes me wonder, what if we had some Amigas on hand that were kind of prepared for the things that typically go wrong when storms happen? Is there any way that you could have some autoplot tooling, at least make the storm cleanup a little easier? So if that you all can't get there, the fact that they're autonomous means that farming can continue?
Ooh, that's great. I think that applies inside the greenhouse. Maybe not so much outdoors when the storm's happening.
That would make sense.
So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hector and I get cut off from work as soon as the rivers flood. So if the fleet was here, Kyle can SSH in and give the kids access, and off they go.
Yeah. Then also they could like if certain areas have flooded or whatever, the Amigas could go in with could take pumps in and place the pumps and there's like a
There
spool
you
of hose with a pump on the end. The emitter to drive that in, place it where it needs to be, and get out of there. And that way, a human doesn't
pump.
have to go in there.
Pump robots. I like that
That's awesome. Okay, this is
because
super cool.
pumps aren't heavy, but water is heavy, and like that's why sprayers can be really hard. Is if you want 600 gallons to do however many acres, it's just too much weight. But if you just have a tool that's moving water, that's pretty interesting.
All right, so what would that look like here? I mean, let's think about what you did when you got to work after the storm. Like, how could the Amigas have minimized that workload, or like, what's just a specific example?
Yeah, I think it's like a 2 Amiga process, right? You need the robot with a pump that sucks up the water, and then a robot that positions that hose on some other dude's property. Just kidding, but where the water's gonna be flowing to.
So you could, I
That's
guess,
interesting.
be a little intentional about that and point the water somewhere where you could store it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could you have some like underground recharge line?
I think there's some infrastructure that's lacking in we're not used to this much rain, so some of these ideas come up and they're not implemented here just because these things aren't happening too often.
Well, that's a really important point because normally that infrastructure would be really expensive, but with the Amiga, it could be pretty easy, and I think most importantly, it can be a part of a rapid response, where like, okay, 2-3 weeks ago, let's say you had some stuff in order, even like a month ago, and the storm started getting pretty bad. How do you think, if we had known then what we know now, or if the tooling was there, we could have set up some Amigas such that when you couldn't get here, stuff like the show could still go on.
Mm-hmm. What comes to mind here is a roofing repair robot, honestly.
So making sure that inside stays inside.
Yeah, if you want to root cause the problem, maybe fixing the roof.
What's the roof of the greenhouse? Is it?
I don't know what it's called, but it's this like really hard plastic. It's essentially like dual pane glass, but they if you guys can see it. You can see that up there, but it's like dual pane plastic.
Like a plexiglass, or?
Yeah, kind of with like to have air trapped in there for insulation.
Mm.
I know that's kind of far away. If you guys, maybe you can see one of the holes. See, that's what we're talking about right here.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay, that's interesting. So how could an Amiga with a lift kit go to that? Like, how do you repair that?
Tarp.
I don't think an Amiga might not be the solution for that problem.
Yeah.
But if you could only
It's not
solve,
duct tape, the Amiga. It's done a lot of applications, but not every application.
it'd be really funny thinking like, okay, you can only solve this problem with Amigas and Amiga
Yeah,
attached.
yeah, like a glue gun, right? Like quick set glue. You just
We need a Flex Seal squirter or something.
yeah, Flex Seal.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. Just okay, so clearly holes in the roof make it a pretty big problem, and I guess people are just climbing up there and replacing the pane.
Yeah.
When's
I think
what's
they're
it
going to
gonna
do it
take?
all. They're going to do it all at once because there's not been a lot of progress or prioritization on fixing the roof.
Interesting. So on rainy days, does that mean that the area like greenhouses are going to just be a little compromised, like that regarding the crop itself too?
Yeah, and they gifted us this block. Probably they don't farm it during the springtime because of this issue. If you look around, like right now, it's all just dirt in here. Where we were earlier, the other 3 greenhouses are all fully planted.
Okay, and is this a problem there too, or is there like have they?
Yeah, much like less of a problem over there for sure.
Okay, cool.
Things are
Yeah,
squared away.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate you walking us through all this. We've got flamethrowers in the field. We've got on-target sprayers getting controlled by Kyle from Manhattan, and we have a challenge now for how students can help scrape up snow or repair the roof. But lots to chew on. So thanks for showing us what you guys are working on. It's pretty exciting.
Of course. Thanks for helping us out, Daniel.
Hector, thank you so much. Cheers, gents.
Like,
so-
comment, and subscribe.
And then next, we were supposed to have, what was it, Ren? What's coming next? Was it the sprayer
Next
live?
week?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
yes,
brain.
sprayer with autoplot. Or maybe we'll see about the brain on the the flamethrower. Maybe we can get
All
that
right, we're
going
looking
too.
forward to it. All right, cheers, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.